What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Down Once More. Matt here, and if you're watching on YouTube, you've already noticed that Brad is not joining me this week, and we will not be reviewing Disney's Wish today. Full honesty and transparency, we tried to make it happen multiple times, and technical issues just got in the way. I'm recording this episode on Tuesday the 25th, so this episode's releasing tomorrow, because we kept trying to make it happen and it didn't work. We tried to record last Wednesday. Brad was having some insane technical issues with his internet. It was dropping the video about every 30, 45 seconds. We were trying to go at it for over an hour. Wasn't working out. Thursday, we tried to make it work. Things fell through. Family, real life stuff for both of us. I was gone Friday, Saturday night, out of town. Wasn't an opportunity to record. Sunday, I got home later than anticipated from out of town, and so it didn't work out. And then last night, Monday, I ended up putting in over a 12-and-a-half-hour day at work, so didn't happen. So you get just me this week, but I'm going to talk some House of the Dragon. Episode 2 came out this week. Came out Sunday night on HBO. And then I'm going to do a July streaming preview. So you're going to get a streaming preview this month ahead of time before July kicks off, so you can get excited about things coming out July 1st. So that's what we're going to tackle this week. So get ready to have some fun. I'm going to recap House of the Dragon first, and there's gonna be spoilers in it, so if you're not interested in House of the Dragon and just want to get to the streaming preview, or you don't want to be spoiled if you're behind on this week's episode, look at the time codes. They're in the description, as always, on YouTube and podcast platforms. Feel free to skip ahead. So this week's episode was titled Rhaenyra the Cruel, and we open up dealing with the aftermath of the end of episode 1, which was Blood and Cheese killing Jaehaerys, Aegon's son, in his bed, decapitating him. Essentially, we got from our lovely sound cues. And so this episode opens up with kind of chaos in the castle following that. So we get Aegon just absolutely destroying Viserys's model of, I believe it was out of Valyria, and Aegon is just screaming and going mad, destroying this model of his father's, and yelling that the traitors and villains, he's going to kill them all, and that he declares war. So he's just screaming that he declares war. And then cut to Alicent, who's mourning and blaming herself because she was with Criston Cole there. And if she wasn't getting busy with him and everything there, then maybe he would have been there to protect Jaehaerys. But he wasn't. He was with her. And Alicent's just in mourning for all she's done, wondering if the gods are punishing her for this and for her actions. And then you have when the council first gets together to figure out what to do next, Aegon is mad at Criston Cole and asking him where he was instead of protecting his family. And Cole, of course, said he was in bed. He was abed. And just not specifying with your mother. Probably wouldn't have gone over well. I think he could take Aegon, but probably don't want to provoke the king, who is in mourning and a rage right now because his infant son was just brutally murdered. So Otto Hightower, current Hand of the King, is seeing this as a little bit of an opportunity because Aegon wants to act so the people don't see him as weak. And Otto just frankly tells him, you're already seen as weak, regardless of who is responsible for this murder. Because Aegon's like, we know it was that bitch queen, bitch queen of the bastards, something like that, Rhaenyra, who did it. And Otto's like, regardless of who is responsible, regardless of what we turn up, we should blame Rhaenyra. We should make her, because right now you're already seen as weak. There's people who are still sympathetic to her cause. We're going to blame Rhaenyra regardless. And I think what we need to do is we need to have a funeral procession through the city with Jaehaerys' body on display to take him for the dragons to burn him in a funeral pyre. And we need to have his body on display so people can see how cruel Rhaenyra was and just strip any kind of humanity and sympathy people may have for her, because they see that she ordered this murder of a child, an innocent child. Says that's what we need to do. And he's like, and we need Alicent and Helaena. So Helaena, Jaehaerys' mother, Aegon's wife, and also sister. We need you to be behind the procession to show your sorrow so the people can see your sorrow. Alicent's resistant at first, but then she sees this is probably the best way to go. Aegon is very resistant at first, doesn't want to make his dead son a spectacle. And Otto's basically telling him this is the only way. Aegon asks for Alicent for advice, and she says that she agrees this is what's going to be best. And so we get this moment where Helena's not looking forward to it. You can see that she is just like broken woman. She already was a little bit off, and her anxiety in the scene, they did a fantastic job of capturing it when the townspeople are just crowding around, and when their cart gets stuck. I thought for sure we were going to have like a borderline I think you should leave coffin drop scene where Jaehaerys' body was going to fall off the cart, because there's one thing I didn't mention. When they're in the council, Larys comes in and says, the foot guy Larys comes in and says that they caught one of the gold cloaks, who was known for his brutal ways. They caught him trying to escape the castle with Jaehaerys' head in a sack. And so then the funeral procession, it shows Jaehaerys with his head sewn back on, and it's just a fucking lot to see. Just you see this just innocent child. And I don't blame him. I don't like Otto, but the man was right in this. When people see that dead baby, that dead young child just on this funeral thing, of course they're going to lose all sympathy for Rhaenyra. You're telling us that she did this to a kid? She had him decapitated? Yeah, fuck that lady. No way are we supporting her. So you see Helaena, I thought there was going to be something that she was going to flip off the handle when the cart's stuck and they're trying to get it unstuck with Jaehaerys' body, and all the townspeople are crowding along and like calling for her, reaching out for her. I thought she was going to lose it, but we didn't get that. It cut away to Rhaenyra freaking out and saying, I don't know who did this. They're blaming me for this. I would never. For Jaehaerys, and to do this to Helaena of all people, I would never. How could they think I did this? Meanwhile, Daemon's just sitting over there like, and just almost like a little like smug look on his face, I felt like. 'Cause he knows he did it the whole time. And this kind of lots of I think you should leave references here. It's kind of like the one sketch in there where the hot dog car gets driven through the building, and then he's standing there in the hot dog suit, like, we're all trying to find the guy who did this. It's kind of like Daemon is. He's like, well, I did this, but come on, we'll hear what you have to say. But Rhaenyra comes to a point where Rhaenys also is kind of clued in, and you can see she looks at Daemon, and she knows he had a hand in this. And you see when Rhaenyra's like, we need to find who did this. I can't believe they're blaming me. And you can see her council doesn't really believe that she didn't do this either. And you see a look of realization cross her face when she realizes Daemon actually was the one who did this and initiated it. And they get into a whole big argument with just some brilliant writing in the dialogue between them, and where she's confronting him and talks about she thinks he's just trying to take this opportunity to take his own revenge and on the child and on Aemon and on that family, on the Greens. And she doesn't trust him. And she said she never has. And trying to see, like, does he actually accept her as queen? Or is he just still seeing this and clinging to what he thinks he lost? Like, he felt like he should have been the heir to Viserys. And then when Viserys named Rhaenyra, just a little bit of a slap in the face to him, but probably the right call from Viserys. And then Daemon is telling Rhaenyra that, like, she's a fool. She'll see this greatness, this opportunity in front of her, but refuses to spill the blood to obtain it. And he just also tries to say, like, hey, it was a mistake to kill the child. That wasn't what I told him to do. That was a mistake, which, I mean, kind of, sort of, but he did leave it vague and kind of up to for interpretation. So he's not completely innocent on this. And then she lets him leave. Just kind of encourages him to leave and that she can't trust him anymore to go off and do his own thing, which could be a mistake and a ploy, because, and I believe this was in the after episode when they were talking to the directors, just saying Rhaenyra might not realize how this could potentially actually hurt her, because the people who were kind of supporting her, part of that could have been those who believed that Daemon was the rightful heir, and because she had Daemon by her side, that helped solidify her position and her claim in people's mind. So Daemon not being by her side could hurt. They have Daemon's daughter Baela coming in to see Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra had summoned her, and Rhaenyra tells her to go keep an eye on King's Landing with her dragon. Keep her distance, be safe, but keep an eye. Which is interesting because it's something that Jacaerys, her son, Jace, that opened up the first episode, that he had offered to do and he wanted to do, and Rhaenyra told him no, it was too dangerous to stay there. But then she's sending Baela away to go do this. So that could play out in some interesting ways. We'll see if something happens to Baela and then Daemon blames her. I don't know. I haven't read the book. I'm going in this blind. There's a new experience. So when Daemon heads out, he is in full armor. He is ready for war. So, sorry, cutting back. Mysaria, the White Worm, who gave Daemon the informants, Rhaenyra starts questioning her, trying to find out what part she had in this. And Mysaria tells her, like, hey, I didn't want to tell Daemon anything, but I did because he told me that's how I could get my freedom. So I did. I hope you keep your word. Rhaenyra's like, I can't afford to let you go. Like, at worst, at best, I'd lose an asset. At worst, you're just going to betray me. So can't let you go. Not going to do it. Then we come back to King's Landing some, and you see Aegon had all the rat catchers hung to be sure he killed the person who assisted with Jaehaerys' death. Because once they had caught Blood, the gold cloak who betrayed him and is the one who actually killed Jaehaerys and sawed off the head, as they caught with the head, Larys was going to torture him and try to get more information, but he just gave it up instantly. It didn't even need to be tortured at all. Just immediately said who he believed hired him, who else was involved. All he said was a rat catcher. He didn't know his name. And then Aegon comes in and clubs him to death, kills him. And so Aegon, to be sure he kills the rat catcher, kills all the rat catchers and hangs them on the city walls. So you see these mothers and wives coming in mourning, like all these innocent men who were killed. And Otto loses his shit and goes off on Aegon. You're like, you just ruined all this goodwill. We had this great plan. I told you to stay still. We put all the blame on Rhaenyra, and they're like, how could she kill a child? And then you kill all these innocents. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? And Otto just goes off. Not something I would do to a crazy king, but Otto's like, I'm the hand and I'm still your grandfather. You're my grandson. You're going to listen to me. Kind of talks down to him. Again, not what I would do to a king who is going through this stage right now. And Aegon tells him that Criston Cole has already taken action and he's proud of him. Well, the action that Criston Cole took is he sent Sir Eric to go. So there's two gold cloaks. We haven't talked about them yet. If you're watching the show, you should know this. There's Sir Eric with an A and Sir Eric with an E. So not confusing at all. Very easy to distinguish the two. These are twins. One who left the gold cloaks and serves Rhaenyra and pledged the crown to her. And then one that still is serving Team Green in King's Landing and Aegon. And so Criston Cole, who's definitely projecting and feeling his own thing about not being there and a little bit of guilt for being with Alicent, not there to protect Jaehaerys, starts telling Sir Eric that he needs to keep his white, I call them gold cloaks, but they're white, the Kingsguard. He needs to keep it it pure. It's muddy. He starts chewing him out that is not your purity. You need to change it now of your mission. And maybe where were you when the prince was killed? What he needs to do to make it up is he needs to go impersonate his brother and kill Rhaenyra. Go by himself, basically a suicide mission. Go off, kill her. Like, you never know. You could be successful. So Kristen Cole sends him there. And Aegon's like, hey, look what Kristen Cole did. This is great. Look, he's taking action. What the fuck did you do? And Otto's like, you basically are a bunch of idiots. Kristen Cole, he thinks, is a meathead idiot who's brain dead, not thinking shit through, which he isn't a little bit. Kristen Cole, we've seen, everyone hates Kristen Cole. Kristen Cole's the worst. Online, no one. I've not seen a single Kristen Cole fan, which is good. He's the worst. But Aegon tells Otto to remove his Hand of the Kingpin and to give it to Kristen Cole. Kristen Cole is going to be his new hand, which I foresee this potentially causing some issues because I felt like Larys was gunning for the Hand of the King position with kind of the bug he put in Aegon's ear last episode. I thought he's a little bit like Littlefinger, where he's just trying to get behind the scenes, whispering in people's ear, trying to have pull the strings behind the scenes. I thought maybe he was gunning for Hand of the King. Maybe not. Maybe he wants to keep in his role, but that's what I thought. So I was kind of surprised. And could see some disappointment there from Larys that Kristen Cole was made hand and not Larys, but I could be completely off. And so that scene ends. Cut back to Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra goes to Mysaria's cell and says she decides she's going to give her freedom after all, keep the word of her house, keep Daemon's word, and free her. And she's going to have Sir Eric escort her for passage from the harbor to go travel and leave. When Mysaria is going down to the ship, she notices Sir Eric, the twin brother, the one sent to murder Rhaenyra, walking back up, and she kind of stops from leaving with her freedom. You tell she clocked that something was wrong, and it implies that she is going to go warn them and warn them and try to help Rhaenyra here. So what we get is then a showdown between Sir Eric and Sir Eric in Rhaenyra's chambers. Sir Eric is showing the Team Green Eric is there to kill her, and then Team Black Eric shows up to defend her. One thing I thought was pretty cool, these roles are played by actual twins. It's not CGI issues that we're dealing with here. It's played by Elliot and Luke Tintensor, who are both fantastic in their roles, and they are identical twins and just both really good playing the two Sir Erics. During the fight scene, one thing that I saw afterwards when they were talking, so they have a battle together. They're fighting brutally, and then other guards are coming in now to help protect Rhaenyra. They're trying to figure out which one's Sir Eric. They're Sir Eric, Team Black Sir Eric, so they can defend him. And one thing that was noted online that I saw is that they made sure that the two brothers, that they obtained the same injuries during the fight. So one would injure their leg, then the other one would. So you can never tell who was who during the fight. I thought that was kind of cool. And then at the end, Sir Eric kills the other Sir Eric. So he kills his brother. You still don't know which one it is. And then the surviving Sir Eric goes to Rhaenyra and apologizes and then kills himself. Now, in my head, what this implied and how I took it was the one that kills himself was the Team Black Sir Eric. He did this because he knew as long as he was alive and because of what happened, Rhaenyra would never really be able to fully trust him, and she would always be worried that he was his twin, that he was his brother. So he's just removing that for her so she doesn't have to deal with that and with the doubt and never really trusting him and never really knowing if she was safe. So he felt like the best option was just to kill himself and eliminate that for her. So, I don't know. I could be completely off in my interpretation of this scene, but I thought it was really well done. I thought this was a lot more of a setup episode as well. There wasn't a ton of action in it. Same with episode one. Like you have at the end, you have a couple big scenes, but it's it's dense in the best ways. We're getting a lot of plot. We're getting a lot of build up for what looks like we're going to start getting some heavy action with this next episode by the preview. So I thought this was a really solid episode again. I'm really enjoying House of the Dragon. It definitely feels like early Thrones. I'm all in. I'm wearing my Dracarys Dragon Miami Heat style shirt today. So, it's going. Can't wait for next week's episode. I think it's starting to ramp up even more. And then, yeah, so that does it for this week's House of the Dragon recap. All right. July streaming releases. There's not a ton of crazy recommendations or new things dropping that I wanted to touch on. But one thing I will say on Disney Plus, The Acolyte, the new Star Wars series that takes place in the Old Republic, that the final 3 episodes are airing in July. It's a series that I have kind of mixed feelings on. It's been hit or miss for me so far. I think the ending of episode 4, last week's episode, was a great setup, and I think we're in for some good things coming up. The new episode 5, airs tonight. So as the night I'm recording this, so when this episode comes out and you're watching or listening, it is out now. Hopefully it was a fantastic episode and we don't get another time jump and they just leave us hanging and make us wait longer after the ending of episode 4. So that's on Disney Plus. There weren't really any other big releases dropping there this month that I was tracking. On HBO Max, of course, we've got House of the Dragon is continuing, season 2. On July 1st, Saws 1 through 6 drop, which I actually really enjoy the Saw movies. We've talked about on here. Talked about doing a spin-off series with Rachel and Steve on here. Some Talkin' Saw, we were going to call it. Had a graphic made and everything. Kind of recap some of the movies. But I think what we're doing, there's a new, either the 10th or I think the 11th movie is dropping in 2025. So I think what we'll do is we will record recaps of the movies sometime between now and then and try to drop them the 10 weeks leading up to the new movie. So stay tuned for that next year, because I'm hoping life will slow down a little bit by then so I can be able to get some more recording and editing in. Also on HBO Max, the 1961 West Side Story, the original one, drops on July 1st. And then on July 19th, Love Lies Bleeding, the A24 film starring Kristen Stewart, Dave Franco, and Katie O'Brien, drops on July 19th. I'm not sure if I said the date already. But this is a movie that I was very intrigued by. It has great reviews. Katie O'Brien has been showing up in some Star Wars. She was in Andor. And she was in, was Andor? Yeah, she was in Andor. She was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, unfortunately. But she's a great actress. And Kristen Stewart and Dave Franco are always fantastic as well. And so this is a little bit of like an erotic thriller romance, it looked like. I'm intrigued by this. I'm excited for this to drop on streaming and be able to check it out. So those are kind of the highlights of what's coming to Max in July. On Netflix, July 1st, the Back to the Future trilogy drops, which is always just some classic Michael J. Fox throwbacks there. And I always enjoyed those movies. Even like 3 and 2 obviously aren't as good as the original, but they're still a lot of fun, I feel like. All seasons of Lost are coming back to Netflix on July 1st. And I'm hoping to actually get a Lost watching. I have never watched it before. I always heard people hating on the ending, but I've also been seeing a lot of things lately that say, hey, if you're watching it and if you're like binging it, the ending is as bad as people felt like it was. It was actually, don't discredit a series for the ending, which I can appreciate. I feel like a lot of people that I talk to do that with Thrones. They're like, I'm not going to rewatch Game of Thrones because that ending, it pissed me off so much, that final season, which I get. The final season was less than ideal. It felt so rushed and was not a great payoff. But I also feel like if you watch it if you binge it, it doesn't hurt as much. You're able to enjoy everything. And I don't know, it's good. So Lost, I'm hoping to check it out for the first time. We'll probably get my thoughts on that at some point in here if I do. Also, The Wiz drops on Netflix July 1st. So there's another musical thing. I think most of these streaming services, there's a new musical movie dropping. So we had West Side Story on Max. We have The Wiz on Netflix. And then on July 3rd, the new Beverly Hills Cop movie, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, drops on Netflix. And I've never seen the Beverly Hills Cop movies. I'll be completely honest with you. I know they star Eddie Murphy. I've heard they're great. I will probably watch them around when this movie drops because it looks like it could be fun. Good time. So, and then part 1 of Cobra Kai season 6 drops on July 18th on Netflix. So I've had a lot of fun with Cobra Kai. I think the last few seasons have kind of dropped off, but they're still a good time. They're still enjoyable to watch. I just feel like they're not hitting the peak of those earlier seasons. On Hulu, Aliens is coming, streaming on July 1st, along with one of the Alien vs. Predators and Alien Covenant, which are not nearly as good, but Aliens was fantastic. The original sequel. So good. 500 Days of Summer, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and... I was going to say Zooey Deschanel, but now I feel like it's not Zooey Deschanel. But then I feel like it is Zooey Deschanel. Sorry. Like I said, it is Zooey Deschanel. I shouldn't have questioned my instinct. 500 Days of Summer. I have not watched it in years, but before that, I watched it numerous times. Great rom-com. Kind of light on the com, but really good. I enjoy it. That's coming to Hulu July 1st. And then the musical one coming to Hulu on July 1st is Bohemian Rhapsody. I have mixed feelings on Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point on here. But it drops on Hulu July 1st. So if that's your thing, check it out. Amazon Prime doesn't really have anything earth-shattering coming to it in July. The main thing is season 4 of The Boys continues. So far, I've been enjoying this season a lot. It's been getting a lot of hate because they've always been a little heavy-handed with seasons 1 through 3 with some of the political things. And I feel like it's a little more heavy-handed this season, but I don't think it's as distracting as so many people are making it out to be. It does not ruin the show for me. It's always had those messages and those notes. I'm still enjoying it. The Frenchie and Kimiko side plot, I don't care about this season. I hope something changes that makes me care about it. I'm not so far. But through 4 episodes, it's still been pretty solid. Episode 4, just Anthony Starr is such a psychopath as Homelander, and he does such a good job in that role that, I don't know. I've talked about it here before, but he's also fantastic in the show Banshee, so highly recommend that if you haven't checked it out. But The Boys season 4 continues, and then if it's your thing, the raunchy animated comedy Sausage Party, Seth Rogen movie, is getting turned into, they're doing a series on Amazon Prime. It's called Sausage Party Foodtopia. That drops July 11th. So if that's your thing, if you like raunchy food fucking each other, that's on Amazon Prime. For theaters, there's 3 big releases that I'm excited for this month. The first one's July 5th, and that's Maxine. This is the 3rd movie from Ty West in kind of a trilogy set in different time periods. The first one was fantastic. It had Kid Cudi in it too. But Mia Goth is the lead in all 3 of these, and she is absolutely fantastic. Like, she needs to win all the awards for her portrayals in this. So the original one was X, and then we had Pearl, which went back in time. X was 70s, 60s, maybe 80s, but around that time period. Pearl goes back in time, and then Maxine takes place in, what time period is Maxine? 1980s. So there, I think Pearl is... Let's see. I'll just find out right here. 1979 is X. Pearl is 1918. And then Maxine is 1980s. So Maxine drops July 5th. I'm really excited for that one. Ty West, these movies have just been something, in my opinion, kind of unique and reinvigorating in the horror genre, a little different. X is a little bit more of a slasher. Pearl is a little more psychological in a way. And I'm excited for Maxine. It looks fun. Twisters. So starring Glenn Powell, Daisy Edgar Jones. This comes out July 19th. Glenn Powell's just a star. I've talked about it with Hitman dropping on Netflix this month, this episode in June. Just fantastic. Glenn Powell's charisma. He's so good in Top Gun Maverick. He's great in Anyone But You. I'm signing up for almost anything with Glenn Powell in it. So I'm really excited for Twisters. And then the big one, the only Marvel movie releasing in 2024, Deadpool and Wolverine, drops July 26th. So I have tickets to see it July 25th, the Thursday screening. I'm pumped for it. Ryan Reynolds, always fantastic in the role. Hugh Jackman, always fantastic as Wolverine. Getting them together for a whole movie is going to be a lot of fun. It looks like it is going to be wild. It is going to be chaos, and all the nerds at heart are going to be so excited. So I'm pumped for that. I hope it delivers. I'm trying to go in with measured expectations, but I'm excited. So those are the main streaming and theater releases in July. Nothing too crazy, not quite as exciting as what we were getting in June, but there's some picks for you. Recommend you check some of those out. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't know if I'm going to do, like I mentioned it last time, I don't think I'm going to do weekly House of the Dragon recaps on mini episodes. I'll probably do some talking on it. So next week should be, unless there's more technical issues, Brad and I talking about Wish. And then we will try to do the week after that. I'll talk about House of the Dragon episodes 3 and 4. So stay tuned. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you like, follow, comment, subscribe, share. The subscribers have been growing. The views have been growing. But I think the bump we got from the Shrek National Tour review has started to die off. I'm not getting 50 views a day. We hit about 3,000 views, and now it tapped out. So we're only getting like 20 a day. So make sure you're checking out all the videos on the pod feed on YouTube or listening. We got lots of musical movie reviews, lots of TV talk, lots of random BS. Had a lot of fun with it. Hope you enjoy. Keep sending us those suggestions of things you want to see on the pod. If there's something you want me to talk about, any breakdowns, anything, drafts we can do, any top 5 lists, anything like that, hit me with them in the comment section or Instagram. Hit us up. Let us know. As always, stay fantastic. Have a great week. Don't forget to go down once more. Later.